to the greatest.
Hey, you know J. Ray got girls here going way, 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 way.
All right, RTR, we're gonna get straight into it. This is my guest for today, Miss Ashley. We met at the Piedmont Park Festival, I believe. Dogwood. There you go. Yeah, I forget. We do like a lot of festivals. Y'all do a lot of festivals too, or y'all just do where y'all used to where you used to work? Wherever y'all put y'all.
We just was told to go to different things. I don't really remember. It was like a month. I wasn't there for long.
And funny enough, we just started conversating. No, I think she was trying to steal my hat, y'all. She was trying to steal my cowgirl hat, my cowboy. Well, technically it was
the
cowboy.
Pink cowboy hat.
Yeah. She was trying to steal my hat, which everybody seemed to like. I think the radio needs to invest in more in those hats and giving them out. But yeah, and then we started a conversation. And now we're here. Well, she canceled the first time, y'all. She canceled on me. Kind of messed up, right?
I had to go to my friend's birthday party.
That's crazy. All right, but nah, that's cool. And now we're here, and it's funny enough. When we met out there, we were talking about your old job. Well, your old job. But when we was at the... Damn, I'm fucking it up. When we was at the festival, we talked about you teaching, but you quitting because you felt like it wasn't paid enough. So that's what I had came up with. But now you pulled up and you told me you back into teaching because, you know, you found a well-paying, type shit. But we can still touch into like that time there. Because what was the time frame from when you quit to when you, now that you're back in it?
December till, what month this is? May, like late May, early June.
Okay, so about like almost 6 months. So it was that.
Couldn't stay away.
Yeah, type shit. So we're gonna get into that because I can't switch it too much up because spend time on these questions a little bit of AI too. So, but can you walk us through what initially drew you to the education field? Like, was it at a young age? Was it like somewhere between like senior year of high school? Like, when did you?
What drew me to teaching? Well, I grew up with a teacher. My dad's cousin, Miss Tucker, was a teacher at my elementary school, E.L. Bowie, and I enjoyed hanging out with her and being in her classroom, but also she would have us do workbooks, my sister and I. So if I would come to her classroom at the end of the day, the school day, she was going to have me doing some kind of work. But it was more of the educators at Bowie, that elementary school, that were the reason that I wanted to become a teacher, because I wanted to have an effect on other children's lives, other people's lives, the same way they had an effect on mine, because I had ADHD growing up. So teachers really do play a big role in every student's life, and I would say especially in students' lives where they may have learning disabilities worse than ADHD. And we as educators, we play that role continuously every single day, because sometimes a child may not just need you to help them out with learning their science work or whatever. They might need you to just give them uplifting words. So I think every teacher I've had over the years kind of shaped me into wanting to become an educator, wanting to become not just an educator but a mentor to young children, just because of the role they played in my life as well.
Okay. And what school? I know I asked you this last time, but I definitely don't remember. What school did you go to get your? Was it early education?
Georgia State.
Are you in the GSU?
Yes.
Oh, she a
Go
Panther,
Panthers.
y'all. She a Panther, y'all. Nah, but what was your first impression of the first job you had? Well, what was the first job you had? I know it was in teaching, but I know
First
what.
job ever?
No, the first job you had teaching before you had quit the first time, or you said, or what? Dang. Okay. Okay.
I'll get sued.
Dang, for real?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Even if you saying like it was good, bad.
Yeah.
Okay, damn. All right, we're gonna skip that
I
question.
signed a contract. It was private.
Damn.
So.
I didn't even know I'm making y'all do that. Okay. So, can you talk about this? There was a specific moment where you realized, you talked about like, you know, you wanted to switch careers. Can you take us through that process, or how that process brought you to the option of leaving the education system for a minute?
I was in my classroom with my kids, and I had been switched to a younger age, so it was a little bit of a adjustment for me, but it was also like, I think I'm taking on too much. And then one day at random, I was just so overwhelmed, I broke down crying in the bathroom, and I was crying and sweating, and I was stressed, and I don't like to do anything that makes me feel super unhappy and super stressed out, and to the point where I'm sobbing almost daily. I spent a whole week at a job crying. But it was still a wonderful job and a wonderful opportunity, and I loved it. Please don't sue me.
So it was just overwhelming. It was a lot for your mental. Was it because of the kids, like because they were so young and you was like a lot of responsibility and there's a lot of energy that you have to give, and you were such a young age, you was just getting into it, or?
I'm trying to think of what I can say.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I forgot you kids like it's a little disclosure.
A little bit of that, a little bit of just different things overall. Yeah, I would just say read your contract thoroughly if you're going into teaching.
I didn't even know teachers get contract, but it makes sense now that I think about it.
Yeah, every job is contract. Yes. Yes, teaching wing.
So I think now, well, outside these 2 episodes we drop, I need to get but can they if they I don't want to say why if they didn't expire. If their contract, does the contracts ever expire?
Yeah.
Like if they retire or something?
No, I mean you have a certain amount of time. You know, it depends. I can't say that for everybody. I can say for me, I had an experience where I had to sign a contract for a certain amount of time, saying, okay, I will work for this time, this amount of time, meaning like you're not gonna just up and leave without saying something. You know, or
so you can't break the contract. There's no legal way to break the contract.
Cannot break that contract.
I'm gonna find a retired teacher.
You definitely should.
Yeah.
You should definitely talk to them.
Yeah. Damn, now I don't know what I can ask. Can we get into salary? Not now. Oh no, is that in like an old contract too? You can't discuss salary?
I thought that's every job though. I didn't think that was just them.
I don't know, because they have career days at certain places where you try to encourage the kids, hey, I get paid this, I do this. But I don't know, I'm learning a lot though. About teachers. Like I was really trying to expose the.
Oh.
Yeah, you know
I'm
what I
not
mean?
even
Yeah. But we're gonna work around it, y'all. We're gonna tweak it. Around it.
I still want to get more jobs.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't even know, because when you came, it was funny because when you came, I didn't expect you to still be. I didn't know you went back since we last talked.
Oh.
So from my last conversation, I was like, okay, dude, we could talk about this because I've heard a lot about this. You know what I mean?
I love teaching. I love kids. I love working with them. It's my passion in life.
Yeah.
I just think when you are in a stressful environment, you should leave that environment and maybe take a hiatus from that aspect of your career. Find something different that you can take back with you, because the jobs that I did outside of teaching, I think it helped me a lot to learn a lot of great skills. The managers I had, I think they gave me like a lot of great information. I think my team lead, the last job I worked, like the information he gave me, the mindset, the skills for a great mindset that they all gave me, helped me go back into my passion and take it a little more seriously, and help me to find out my purposes through that. I would say.
Okay, all right. She answering like she a celebrity, y'all. Hold on.
I am. I'm just kidding.
Type shit. That's okay. So I guess we can focus more on the mental aspect. I guess you still got to teeter-totter around it, but
I think
you can give more. Yeah, you
That's
can give
more
more.
of my personal. Yeah.
So, what kind of support did you experience from administration, parents, or the district when you went through what you went through? If you experienced it.
I didn't really reach out to anybody though, but that's me personally. I don't reach out to anybody when I'm going through things, except for like my best friend, but or just Sean. But I don't really reach out to anybody when I'm going through anything. So that's on me more than them.
That's what I say. That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's more of a me problem than them. So I can't really speak on them, but I can say about me, definitely me.
Okay. We'll come back to that. That's interesting. Were you ever made to feel like your frustrations were invalid because of your age or gender?
Yeah.
You feel for real?
100%, yes.
Why?
A situation I cannot talk about.
Dang,
because I once, years ago, had a coworker who made very suggestive comments to me every single day, who had a girlfriend. And he was very, very, sometimes he was very aggressive with me and very just strange. And this is years ago. This is not my last job, not my last teaching position, not my current either. But the male that I worked with, he just made me so uncomfortable all the time that I started to hate the job, and I started to hate going in there because I did complain about him, and nothing happened. If anything, he just got worse.
Yeah.
And it made it hard to do the job, and it made me feel like, what's the point of complaining if nothing is going to happen, essentially, because all he could say is, oh, I was just joking and she didn't get the joke. It wasn't a funny joke. It wasn't a joke. You make suggestive comments. He did a lot that really rubbed me the wrong way, and I think my concerns were not taken seriously. They were taken lightly based off of.
I was going to ask you what was your experience with HR. I had a conversation with my friend who shout out to Shamika. Y'all seen her on the podcast. She actually owns this studio. She's the primary owner of the studio, quote unquote. But we talked about and there's stuff she can't talk about within her job field, but she wants to, when she leaves, you know what I'm saying, she wants to kind of, I mean, all these fields, medical field, education field, I want to say the military field, they all have their pros, but the cons outweigh the pros when it comes to how they treat their employees in the workforce. So we were just talking about that. I'm gonna let her say it. You know what she is, what field she's in, but it's a lot of corruption, somewhat, not to the highest extent, but it's a business, and everything is kind of messed up how they treat people within these fields. But I was just saying that to say is, we definitely talked about how HR treats everyone in different fields. So that's what I was going to ask you, but you.
I think HR in my field, my current job, I have to praise them. Everything is so well done, well organized, well received. You can tell they actually care about their employees and really want to know. I'm not saying my last job didn't. But I'm saying you can just tell like they value what their employees have going on, what their mindset is. Sorry, my contact's acting up. But you can tell like they really, really care, and that's something that I haven't seen in a lot of jobs, but I totally am so grateful and so thankful to see it on this job. Not to say I didn't see it on my last job, but I think it's just different. It's on a different scale, I would say.
I'm happy you're in a better place.
Yeah. I love my job now. Yeah. I love it. It's so great. Shout out to them.
Yeah. And then as a young black woman, do you ever feel a specific pressure to save or uplift students?
Yes.
Through your career?
Yes. That's more of like on the personal scale. I think as black people, we should all be trying to help each other, trying to look out for each other. I think we don't, and I understand to a fault, but I think as a young black woman in the education field, you get to see things that people don't see every day, except for like the medical field. But you see some terrible things every single day. You meet children who come from very terrible home lives, and it does make you kind of want to take more protective role over children, and even just women in general. It makes you think, I would hate to see another woman go through X, Y, and Z. So I think, honestly, yeah, it really does make you want to be more protective over the youth. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Going back a little bit into the mental aspect of it, what was the emotional process of deciding to walk away from teaching?
It was a hard process. I cried. I think I cried when I came in with my letter of resignation. I cried every day. When I thought about it, I cried. When I put my resume out for other jobs, I cried. When I updated my resume, I cried. I cried every day. I was so sad to leave because I loved my last teaching position. I loved it there, but I knew it was the best decision because I was mentally drained, emotionally drained, physically drained, and I knew it took a toll on my mental health, on top of also being in school at the time, and it was a huge toll on my mental health, and I felt so bad because I did cry so much. My former boss was like, did somebody do something to you? Are you okay? What's going on? And I was like, I just have to go. I have to do it for me. And it was the best decision for me. It really was. And I think the best decision for you is sometimes the hardest decision for you. So, quote me.
How did people react when you told them you were leaving? And how did you deal with the judgment, if any? Like maybe your parents, your sister, people that saw you kind of work toward this, you know what I mean? You went to higher education for it.
My mom told me I should stay,
Mm.
stick it out a little longer.
Mm.
I think my dad told me, you shouldn't stay somewhere where you're absolutely mentally drained,
Mm.
to the point where you wake up every single morning feeling like, why am I doing this? I don't want to be here anymore. I think that was like really good advice at the time. I think my mom supported me. My last day, she supported me a lot. She was really supportive emotionally. I think most people were shocked because they knew I love children. I love working with children. I love teaching. So it was a shock, Why would I actually leave teaching, It doesn't make sense. But I just didn't tell anybody a lot of it. I was just like, yeah, I'm leaving. I'd rather do something different for a little while. People understood.
Yeah. Do you miss? Oh wait, no, we're not there. If the parent support were right, would you have? Do you think you would have stayed, even with that other situation that went on?
The parents support? Oh, they had great. The parents were not the problem. It was great.
Oh no,
parents.
my fault. I talked a little too bad. Pay and support.
Oh, pay and support. Yeah. Yeah.
Even with that other situation that happened.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
I got you. What do you think, if any, do you think? Because I've heard a lot about. Well, is this true that like teachers are definitely underpaid?
Yeah.
Underappreciated.
100%.
So, what do you think needs to change for, especially young teachers, to stay in the profession?
More money. People are leaving like
I was about to say, are they
every
understaffed
day.
right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Certain counties will take you without a degree, I believe, because they're. I shouldn't talk about that. But yeah, pay more. Pay more, but also the support should be different because there's a lot of teachers who complain about a lot of things, and they're very valid complaints, and they go overlooked. And it's beyond just more of like a personal matter. It's sometimes just, can we get more textbooks? Can we get updated? I worked. Never mind. But I know for a fact that the textbooks aren't being updated in certain counties or certain parts of certain counties, if you catch my drift. And I think there are a lot of educators who choose to work in underfunded schools or counties. And those are the ones that get overlooked the most, but they might have some of the most amazing, most hands-on teachers you'll ever meet. And these are young people who really genuinely care because they want to educate the youth. They want better for the youth. And they might see, okay, when I was in school, I didn't have a teacher that stayed 3 hours after school. I did, however. Shout out to Miss Hatch. Kavicki, excuse me. But I think we all had at least one or two teachers growing up who stayed with you, who spent the long hours trying to make sure you understood the lesson so you can progress to the next grade, who did tutoring tutorials, make sure that you feel like the best student you can be. And sometimes they go to the underfunded schools and they're not supported, so then they have to choose themselves and go to a school in, APS or anything else, like nicer, where they actually will protect their teachers. Gwinnett County schools as well. I think I've heard great things about them. But, yeah.
I got the drift. What would you tell someone who is 19 or 20 and thinking of becoming a teacher right now?
Definitely do it. Definitely become a teacher. It's a great opportunity. You learn a lot. You get to experience a lot. If you're going into it thinking it's easy money, it's not. Not at all. You do more learning than you will do teaching. That's like the best thing you'll ever learn, because every year you have to learn what you're teaching, and they have to make sure you know what you're teaching. So you're doing tests, you're doing twice as much work you did in college, basically, every year. But it's also a great opportunity to stay with it. It's a great opportunity, and the children will appreciate you. If you love the children, they will love you. If you are someone who loves and supports children, that is the perfect field for you. Education, I would say, or medical. Yeah.
So when you say you're learning more on the job than you did when you was in college, do you mean like more like learning the criteria, learning, like studying a
Yeah.
little bit more to teach them, or do you saying like you're learning more from the kids?
Both. I would say both, because you learn. The best part about being a teacher, especially for preschool, I would say, what I love the most about working with preschool versus elementary and middle school, or high school, I love you get to literally experience life through their eyes. So it's like starting over. You don't remember what you learned when you were a baby. You don't have as much of a appreciation for walking or running or jumping or hopping or learning, like, oh, when I shake this bottle it rattles, or oh, if I do this or I do that, this happens. You don't care as much because you're used to it. You spent 20 years here. You've been doing this for 20 years. You don't care as much. But watching it through a child's eyes, the amazement, the excitement of, oh, when I do this, this happens, or when I do that, that happens. That is the best feeling in the world. And that is such an amazing, and it feels good. You go home like, I just showed a little person how to walk. I just showed this little person what happens if whatever, we did a science experiment and I taught them how to do whatever, and I taught them this, I showed them that. It feels amazing. You go home feeling on a 10 kind of. Those are good days. You'll have bad days, but on good days you feel warm inside. And I think working with children, it is just so amazing. You do go home literally floating some days, because it's like, I just taught all these little people something new. I got to laugh, I got to cry with them, I got to experience their entire day with them, because that is the only job, I think, where you experience something outside of yourself for 8 hours, and then you go home and you're alone. So I think if you like that, then yeah.
Okay, this is my personal question. Damn near forgot it. I was trying to stay in it, but I knew I was gonna forget it. Oh yeah. Do you think in today's education world, is it easy? Because we used to hear you really didn't want to, like, a lot of people that I've talked to didn't want to teach younger kids because it was just a lot, and they would rather teach the older kids because they're a little bit more tameable. I hate to use that word, but I couldn't find another synonym. But now it's kind of like the other way around, where you looking at social media every day, and these kids are crazy. Like, the older kids are crazy, really disrespectful, just not well mannered. We'll say that, just very not well mannered. They kind of think they grown a little bit. Like, it's very like opposite now. So do you think you would still want to stay with the pre-K students, or if you had an opportunity, you would go teach high school or middle school?
I think I would stay. I love being with little kids. I'm sorry. I think some things are for different strokes for different folks, I guess, but it's earlier hours with a high school or middle school. It's earlier hours, but a little more stress and strain, honestly. You go to this school, you might see kids fighting all day. Someone's going to cuss you out just because they're having a bad day. Some kids want to disrespect you just to make other kids laugh. Those are the worst of things. I think it's also really great because you get to inspire someone for the rest of their life, and they will hold it with them. And so it's like you can be a great inspiration to them. I recommend tutoring. I prefer tutoring high schoolers than teaching. I didn't teach high school. I have never taught high school, but I've worked at a summer camp with high schoolers and been a tutor for a couple high schoolers. I wouldn't do that full time. No.
I got you.
I don't have kids, so I don't want to do that.
What would it take for teachers to be treated like the professionals they are?
Honestly, I think that's just something you have to suck it up. Like, that's just something you have to deal
for real?
with.
So you don't think if they went on strike or protests never work. I don't know. There's
been a lot of strikes. There's been a lot of protests.
Yeah, but like for example, like in the film realm, there was just the writer's strike. You would never think anybody would do some shit like that, because you know how hard it is just to get into the entertainment field. Like, it takes a lot of networking, ass kissing, school, networking.
My dad works in that field, so it really wasn't a shock, honestly. Because I think whenever someone's feeling a little, disrespected or whatever, you're always going to try to protest. Like, I want this, I want that. You're going to always beg for more, because you're going to ask, like, if you don't care about something, you'll just leave. If you care, you'll stay and fight for it and try to get at least something out of it. So these people who made their entire livelihood surrounding something, they're going to stay and try to fight for it because it's not fair. They don't have half as many like benefits that other people do. They think 9-to-5 jobs suck, but we get more benefits technically. Shorter hours, we get to live our lives more than they do. They just have more money, but they're never at home. So they can afford a bigger house, nicer cars, but they can never enjoy them. And they probably will lose them eventually because they're not going to be able to manage it as well.
So you don't think if teachers went on strike right now, there would be no effect? Because you gotta remember, I mean, you're a teacher.
I don't.
First of all, y'all are pretty much babysitters. Y'all are third parents, and then y'all are responsible for the next generation of what. This is just my opinion. What I think they want y'all to make the kids into, second-class citizens, second-class working citizens. So y'all have those three things are so important. You don't think if y'all went on strike, y'all would make an impact? Like they would. Okay, we'll pay y'all. We'll do this because like. If I don't take my son to school, I can't go to work. You feel me?
Maybe, but no, I don't really think so.
Damn.
Honestly, I think because these issues have been going on for so long, and there's been so many strikes, so many protests. I've been to a strike before. Nobody cared. Nobody.
I was protests out there.
I was downtown with them, with the poster boards. Nobody cared.
Little picket sign.
Some people honk as we, stood there. Woo! Like nobody cared. A lot of the male teachers didn't show up. So I think honestly, I don't know. I don't think the male teachers. I think maybe if they had showed up too, they would have looked at us and been like, oh, maybe I should pay attention to women and men joining into protests. But nobody cared. Honestly, nobody cared.
Okay.
So I don't think they really would care enough. I think they'd be like, oh well. Those who can't teach, So I think they'd just be like, is this not your job?
I don't know. I disagree. I think the people that have children would have to care.
I think they care.
Yeah.
I don't think
everybody else cares.
Yeah, I don't think like the people we need to care.
Okay.
A lot of them don't have children.
Yeah, okay. You're right. You have to get both sides on the fence, other side of the fence. Okay. I got you. Fair enough. Well, that concludes this episode. How did it feel? Like,
it's pretty cool.
Was you nervous or anything?
No, I know how to talk. I like to talk. I'm a talking person. So.
You didn't tell me that when you first, so type shit. So I don't think you actually, for this first part of the episode, I don't know if we were going to talk about the second part because I was trying to cut this into 2 parts, but then when you said you couldn't disclose post stuff, and you said on top of that you went back into the teaching field, I was like, dang.
I thought we were talking about like life stuff.
We can, the next one. So, but I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I'm good at coming up with stuff when I don't have a guest right now, and then when it's time to have a guest, like I run out of stuff to talk about. Like I was on the Shade Room, Ball Alert and stuff, just looking for stuff to talk about. But we can get into that life stuff on the second part. Yeah, that's what me
and my best friend do all the time.
Yeah,
we just sit and go, "Could you hear about this?" Let's talk about it.
Okay. So we can get into that in the second part. I thought that was interesting too because I told you we was gonna talk about that specifically when you were telling me all that stuff. So yeah, but I appreciate you.
Okay.
Sharing what you could share. Okay. Yeah, it was fun. Do you have an Instagram or anything you want to shout out? Any business?
Obsessed with Ash, or it's Obsessed WITASH. Obsessed with Ash.
On Instagram? Okay. And real.t.radio on Instagram. Real Talk Radio 2 O's on TikTok. Hit us up in the Gmail. realtalkradio626@gmail.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, we're also on Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. And then I always like to leave them with a little inspiration, motivation. I'll let you do the next one.
Okay.
This one I found, I don't know who the inspirer was or the idealist was, but I thought it was a cool little inspiration, motivation for all the educators out there. You can pour your heart into a system, but if it never pours back into you, walking away isn't quitting, it's choosing yourself. Think that was a good one?
Yeah.
All right, we ended on that.